My name is Nametsa. I suffered from depression, but I've changed my game. It came to a head when I was at tertiary, but it's something that started way back when I was about 8 years old. I grew up in a family with both parents, very loving, very present parents. But there was a year when I lived away from them. I lived with a relative. And there was another young child there around those days, and it was so difficult because I was the only one being called names. Every time there's a comparison between the two of us, she's the one who's preferred. And I would get punished for the things that the two of us would do, or the things that I would do, the things that she would do. So it always felt like there is somebody who is loved in this house and it's not me. There's somebody who's preferred and it's not me. But it wasn't only that. The things that she would say, the way that she would treat me was different. And I noticed it. I know I was young, but it's something that stayed with me. Her words stayed with me, telling me how horrible I am, what a naughty child, what a bad child I was. And those are the things that started to work inside of me. And everything that happened to me after that was a result of that year. So all those things just built up to the person who was depressed, but you would never tell that I was depressed. I told you that it came to a head when I was at tertiary, and that's when I started dating. I experimented with alcohol, with cigarettes, with dacha, because that's what everybody who I thought was cool was doing. But pretending to be somebody I was not. Pretending to be happy with the life I was living, just being wild and carefree. And pretending to be happy was exhausting. It was exhausting. It was around that time when I was at tertiary that my family lost everything. So then it's relationship after relationship. It's problem after problem at home. Now I don't know where I'm going to go at the end of the year because I don't have the residence to live in anymore. I can't even scrape together a few coins to buy some bread that would need to last me so long because when it's finished, I have no idea what I'm going to eat. It was so tiring. It was tiring. It was just sapping every bit of energy out of me, and I couldn't take it anymore. I remember there was a time when I thought, I think it would be better for everyone if I died. And that's where I think that depression came to a head, because all that pretense had gotten too much. I didn't know how to solve the problems I had. And I tried, I think I tried to reach out in my own awkward way, and it didn't work because I couldn't sit down with somebody and say, hey, I'm in a bind here. I don't know what to do. I can't live like this anymore. I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. I'm having dangerous thoughts. I wasn't that person. I couldn't do it. And the last thing I came up with was an overdose. I shoved those pills down my throat, and it was hard. It took time, but I shoved every single one of those pills that I had been buying over time. I drank them all. And they were taking effect. And I remember I was lying down in that bed thinking, that's it. We're almost there. I'm almost gone. It's almost over. But it was taking a while. And I don't know if it's because there's a young lady who was my friend. We'd been friends from high school. She started knocking on my door. She knocked, I ignored her. She continued knocking incessantly, forcing me to open the door. And I'm lying down there thinking, please leave me alone. I'm about to put an end to this pain. I don't know how I had the energy or the strength to get up and go and open the door. When she saw me, I don't know what she saw. But she got those guys who were somehow around that day. They just happened to have a car and they rushed me to the hospital. And after that idea of trying to kill myself didn't work, so I let that go. But I continued with the depression. It messed me up because even after that, I tried to find joy in friends. That didn't work. I tried to find joy in work. That didn't work because that was my final year. The year after that, at the end of that year, my father passed away. Yeah. So when I was at my wit's end, I think a few years after my father passed away, my mother said she's coming to live with me. Now, she was already coming to the Universal Church. So she came to live with me. She would invite me to church. Obviously, she knew I was destroying my life. I would look at myself in the mirror and not like anything I saw. But if you were my friend, you would think I was the most confident, outgoing, happy. I would be the happiest person in your group because that's the front I put on. But when I came to the church, it was the first place where no one needed me to be anything or anyone. It took time for me to build a relationship with God because the way I treated people, keeping a distance between myself and them, without noticing it, I did that with my relationship with God. So I came to the church, I learned the ways of faith. So if I have a problem, there is a promise from God, and I have faith and I know how to use it, so I know how to solve my problems. So that became what I thought a relationship with God, but it wasn't. And that can sustain you for a bit. It can sustain you for a while when you're in the church and you know how to use your faith and now you've learned how to be faithful. So I stopped everything, all the clubbing, the boyfriends. I stopped all of that when I came to God. But I didn't notice that I didn't know how to let him in. And because of that, it took time for me to be born of God. And you know, when you're in the church and things are going well for you, and I would get a raise, and my work life started doing well, and inside I started feeling good because I didn't have to pretend anymore. I could just go to God and tell him, I'm not okay. And he would start making me okay inside because I would give little bits of myself to him. And he would bless me. My finances were getting blessed. And my family life was becoming wholesome. And the way I saw myself, the way I regarded myself, the way I thought of myself was getting nice. I could accept the person who is looking right back at me in the mirror. And I even started liking her. But that is very temporary because it's the excitement of faith, and it's very exciting and it's very wonderful. And you feel glad for the first time, for real. And I loved it. So it was so good to have this environment, no judgment, no expectations, But because I still didn't know how to trust God, because I had put up a very thick wall around my heart and I would never allow anyone in, I didn't know how to give myself to God. And as I went through the journey of praying, and now I want this. I've heard people say, oh, having the Holy Spirit inside of you is magnificent. I knew I'd never known that since the day I moved out to go and live with that relative. That innocence, that goodness, that safety died. And I wanted it so badly. So I would pray and fast and read my Bible and meditate on what I was reading and talk to God about the things that He was telling me in His Word are possible. And I remember the night I received the Holy Spirit. You know, when you live a life of pretense, your mind is always busy. There's always something going on because you're planning, like you need to make sure that your life is in order, that nobody's going to come in. And if they try, you do this. You're always orchestrating something in your mind and you don't even notice. So there is a lot of noise going on in there. But now I'm praying, I'm seeking the Holy Spirit. I'm on my knees. I'm in the lounge. I'm on my knees. It's nighttime. I'm alone. And I'm talking to God about His Spirit. And I wanted Him so badly. And as I'm praying and seeking God and praising Him, I don't even know if I can put it in words. The silence. That peace that He brings when he comes inside of you and He baptizes you with His Spirit, there is nothing like it. It was the first time in as long as I can remember where I was not in control anymore. But God was. But it didn't feel scary, it felt good. I felt peace that I can't describe. It was the first time I understood what it is to have joy. I wasn't like laughing and out of control. There was so much peace and silence and joy. I was praying and I was talking to God and I just stopped. And there it was. He just washed over me with something that is so sublime that you can't explain it, but you know it. And I noticed that from that day, nothing was the same. I had done something I had been so afraid of, and that was to totally surrender. And it was the right thing to do. And it was great. It felt awesome. And from that day, you know, things around you don't necessarily change. I still face problems and things and that. But I have this settled feeling inside of me. I'm at peace. Even when I don't know what the answer is, I have a God who does. It's not like I'm putting my head in the sand. Of course, I'm going to look for solutions and things like that. But I don't face life. I don't face situations with that mind of, oh, what am I going to do? What's going to happen next? I have a settled feeling inside of me and understanding that my God is in control. But now, because my life is so different, I have no depression. I don't need to pretend to be happy or in control. And I'm happy. I've been married now for almost 13 years. For me, that is a feat because before then, I would never have a relationship that even lasts for a year. And it couldn't have happened without God. I know there are so many people who are struggling with how they think of themselves. There are people who are going around like I was, exhausting themselves, trying to pretend that they're okay, that they're on top of things when they're not. But I also know what happens when those people are alone and they have to face their thoughts. It's not happy, it's not good, but there is a solution. There is a way to change your game, and that's with God. His Spirit really gives inner healing. And that's the thing that I think is the difference between what we try to do with our own strength to fix these problems. It's something that's inside of you. And there's nothing and no one who can reach in there, even if they love you. My family tried. Boyfriends tried. But no one can reach that part that is deep inside of your soul. But God, through His Spirit, can. And that is how you change the game. That is how you come out of that deep, dark place that depression takes you to, with God.